Story 1. Went and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting. It has only helped me act like I enjoy my job. Story 2. A close friend earned a degree in music, and I made endless fun of her for it. Now she is making more than I ever will at a bank. I will forever regret my words. Story 3. My sociology degree helped me get a job that required a 4-year degree. The job has nothing to do with sociology, but I was hired as an assistant manager. Now, 5 years later, I am the head manager and have free housing. Story 4. I was an English major, and now I am a reading interventionist at the best elementary school in our district. I am making great money, doing something I love, and genuinely helping children develop a life skill they will need to be successful. Story 5. I have a degree in creative writing. Everyone except my parents told me this was a bad idea. They were wrong. After college, I moved to a major technology hub and wrote marketing copy for a decade. I found that those interviewing me were impressed by my degree and were enthusiastic to hire someone to write words. After the company I was working for was acquired by a larger company, I decided to take the money and take some time off. I just published my first novel. I would say my degree has worked out pretty well. Since people are asking, my novel is called Accomplishments and Accomplices. It is a fun historical comedy with a touch of romance, perfect for laughing at in the bathtub. It is available on Amazon right now. Story 6. Psychology major here. I am a stay-at-home dad. I plan to get a mindless, low-stress job when the children go to school. Story 7. In college, I was briefly a comparative literature major. My dad lost his mind and went on long rants about how useless that degree was, so I gave in and changed it. As a middle-aged adult, I work in translation and localization, and many higher-level jobs I want to move into require a comparative literature degree, which I no longer have. I wish my parents had known me well enough to trust that when I said I know what I like doing and where I want to go, I meant it. Story 8. I earned a degree in anthropology. I worked as a librarian for 20 years, which was my dream job. Now, I am disabled and hope to one day return to school for another degree. Story 9. History. I have worked in video game production for 18 years. It has been going great. This experience helped me learn critical thinking, critical reading, understanding causality, and writing. Story 10. Great. I have a degree in English literature and another in mathematics. It turns out that writing and logic are very useful in most white-collar careers. Story 11. I was a history major and now I am a financial analyst. Honestly, the degree has helped hone many of my soft skills, including critical thinking, reading comprehension, and clarity in my writing. The most important skill I use from my history degree, however, is the ability to clearly articulate an idea to a client. Story 12. I do not really use my degree, but it definitely gave me an edge in the industry I am in now. I am not rich, but I work from home. It is flexible and I have enough to pay my bills and put some away for savings. Overall, I cannot complain. I do not think I would be the person I am if I never went to college. Story 13. Doubled in acting and philosophy. Spent a decade and a half in various jobs and acting gigs, commercials, stage, film, while writing my own material, which I believe philosophy improved. Aside from ending sentences with prepositions, which I have somewhat improved on. I made mostly lower-end and inconsistent money but survived and had a lot of fun. Recently earned a master's degree in mental health counseling, obtained my associate license, and started at a private practice this week. Baby on the way. Life is good. In my case, following my passions worked as I wanted, and over time I grew into or out of what I needed. I gained skills through those majors that I still use, even if their economic purpose was not immediately obvious. I believe education has intrinsic value. I also believe that allowing people the space to have less clear journeys is okay, even if it seems risky. Story 14. Good. My degree would only have been useful if I had gone into academia, which I never will. However, I am in a good spot now, so all is well that ends well. Story 15. Geography degree. Ended up working for an airline where you might think it would be useful, but it was not. There were plenty of colleagues with no degree who did just as well. It was a good career, though, and I was able to retire with a pension at 52. Aside from volunteer work, I have not worked since. Story 16. I earned a degree in history and was ready to begin my master's and credential program. Then COVID-19 hit. I was offered a full-time position at my part-time job, and I accepted it since the pandemic was causing disruptions. I ended up enjoying that job more than I expected and decided to continue with it. Now it is my career, and there are many opportunities for me to pursue. So, I earned a degree that I did not use, which was a missed opportunity on my part. Story 17. Animation, industrial design, graphic design, media and communications, journalism, and foreign policy minor in diplomacy. The last three are federally backed and come from networked universities, so I am doing well in the field with those accreditations. The first three are a joke and a waste of money and time. I spent 10 years trying to break into the creative fields, worked for MTV, Disney, industrial manufacturing, book publishing, advertising. Johnny Walker brand was my favorite. I was always paid poorly, undervalued, threatened with replacement, and had to compete with everyone. Nobody cared about your education, just how good, fast, and cheap you could make money for them with your efforts. Nowadays, I spend my time writing policy proposals that reach as high as the White House, working out complex national problems with like-minded people, and for once in my life feel valued and validated. Story 18. Degree in history, minor in mathematics, combinatorics, and minor in social psychology. Currently working in technology sales and earning mid-six-figure income. I am doing just fine, thank you. My advice: take courses you enjoy and that help you learn. Carry that growth mindset forward. There is nothing worse than spending time, energy, and resources on a useful degree, only to find you hate the job once you start. There is money to be made no matter what you pursue. Also, with generative artificial intelligence, supposedly useless degrees like communications, history, English, philosophy, psychology, and others are becoming more important and necessary than pure science, technology, engineering, and mathematics or computer science pursuits. Story 19. My best friend earned an English degree, obtained a master's degree in publishing, and now makes a comfortable living working for the communications department of a large civil engineering company. Her partner earned another liberal arts degree. I do not remember the specific field, but he returned to school for his master's degree and now works as an occupational therapist for autistic children. Story 20. Sociology. I work as a production manager in heavy manufacturing. I earn more than $175,000 annually, while hourly workers without a degree make at least $80,000. My degree has not helped me in any way other than on my resume. Story 21. I received a lot of criticism for earning a psychology degree from people online and classmates who said I was just getting an easy degree. I have a good job working in operations at a technology company. I also have excellent mental health. Story 22. Pretty well. I have a Bachelor of Arts in acting. I tried acting for a few years and eventually moved full-time into writing. I have worked in television and theatrical writing and now work full-time writing for mobile game narrative. I am aware that my career might continue to evolve, but two things my degree taught me that always serve me well are: 1. I can be outgoing with people when I need to be, and 2. I am fundamentally good at communications. Story 23. Worked in an unfulfilling job for 2 years. Now pursuing another degree that can lead to a career. Story 24. I earned a degree in communications, which some people teased me about. I have worked remotely in digital marketing for several years, and the pay is good enough that I do not live paycheck to paycheck unless I really splurge on myself. Story 25. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Media Studies, which is largely useless. Luckily, I also have a Master of Business Administration in Accounting, which is also largely useless for my actual job. Story 26. Well, so far, I got a Bachelor of Arts in History to be a high school history teacher. Subbing during undergraduate studies taught me I didn't want to do that. I decided to maybe be a history professor and earned a Master of Arts in History. Graduate school and the state of shrinking humanities departments in academia taught me I didn't want to do that. I also worked for AmeriCorps during graduate school. Anyway, it turns out I could read, write, and research better than most people, and I love video games. So, I became a freelance gaming news writer on a games website with my credentials. I did that for 5 months, then became a freelance writer and weekend editor at another smaller games site for more pay. I was promoted to associate editor there in 6 months, then managing editor 6 months after that. I did that for a couple of years but was laid off in January. With the industry in decline and artificial intelligence affecting traditional search and search engine optimization, it was for the best. I had already been applying to jobs before I got laid off, one of which I interviewed for and got the week after I was laid off. Now I am a technical writer for the state. Interesting and circuitous route, but don't underestimate being able to read and write. Story 27. My sweet little art history degree landed me a prestigious job as a mother and homemaker, so I am going back to school to become a surgeon instead. I should have done what I wanted the first time around. I was afraid of the long schooling. Well, time is going to pass by anyway. I did not realize that at the time. Story 28. Master of Arts in English Literature. I sell restaurant supplies and couldn't be happier. Story 29. I went to art school and now have a comfortable, well-paid technology job that uses my degree very directly. Many of my classmates ended up in technology and are earning good money. If you know how to manage a portfolio, you can qualify for nearly any position with design in the title, which provides many options if you are flexible with the day-to-day tasks. Story 30. 40 years old with a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, and I am happily employed at a school. I bought a nice house in a pleasant neighborhood. I am doing well. Story 31. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy. I have been a truck driver for 19 years. Story 32. Bachelor of Arts, majored in political science and history, passed the bar examination and will be an attorney. Story 33. Bachelor of Liberal Studies, barely graduated with a 2.0 GPA. I work at a bank making $150,000 excluding bonuses. Story 34. Majored in cinema. Recently moved to Atlanta and am looking for film jobs. I have been searching for a month with no success but am not giving up. Story 35. Double major in creative writing and journalism. I work in marketing, managing social media for a technology company. I am very happy. By no means rich, but compared to the small town I grew up in and left, I feel like I am living the life. My salary keeps me comfortable enough to own a car I love, take my wife out to nice dinners, and have some savings in the bank. I work from home full-time and only put on pants when I want to. It was not always easy. I had a number of low-quality jobs before I succeeded. I am also thankful for what my degree choices did for me in terms of media literacy, which I find increasingly important with each United States election cycle. Story 36. I have a double major in politics and computer science. The computer science degree got me a job right out of college, but my politics degree helped me navigate my career from development through technology sales, business development, and product work. It is important to understand people's motivations and not waste time listening too much to people who do not have any real power in an organization. That said, if I could do it again, I wish I had studied theater instead of politics. Story 37. I earned a political science degree because I wanted to go to law school until I talked to lawyers who advised me against it. My major is not related to my current job, but having a degree definitely gives you an advantage over those who do not. I am also very skilled at writing, analysis, and research, which are important in a job like this. I worked in retail for a while but eventually got my foot in the door at a better position, then was promoted twice. Now I work from home, putting in about 4 hours of work a day, and I have not set foot in an office in 18 months. If you had asked me 5 years ago if my degree was worth it, I would have said no, but things really turned around for me after 2020. Story 38. Studied art history and anthropology and was told I was doomed. I am now working as a museum curator and having a blast. Story 39. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in computer science. It took 3 years to get a job in the field, and even then, it was not because of the degree. I initially worked as a warehouse employee, and the manager asked, "How is someone as skilled as you working in a warehouse? Let me move you to the software development team." However, since I was earning $12 per hour and they likely knew I was eager for work, the software team offered me a very low salary. After 3 years, I resigned and began searching for a job with better pay. aiming for around $80,000 per year. I have not found a job since I resigned in November. Story 40. I knew I would never use my degree in anthropology, but I was there on a full scholarship and it was a really interesting field to study. Then I earned a nursing degree, which is my current job, and I love that too. Story 41. I completed a master's degree in public administration after studying English literature. I currently work as a policy manager with less than 10 years of professional experience. I excel in report writing and persuading politicians to make evidence-based decisions. Story 42. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in General Fine Arts. Considering art is all I can really do, there was no alternative. Years later, at 46, I found out that I have severe attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It now makes sense how I completely struggled, procrastinated, and wasted my whole life. I had no concentration and was constantly getting fired. I am now trying again to do something art-related. I am on medication but still really have trouble with impulse control and motivating myself to do what I need to do for my art business. It is nearly impossible, especially right now as my new obsession is Ableton, and I often get bored with my art series. I switch up my art style and can't get anything done. The list goes on. It is really hard to make progress. I also work in a warehouse, hating every minute of it, so that is difficult. Story 43. A degree in literary comparison. I currently work for the state as a septic inspector. When I graduated from college, I worked editing jobs that required a college degree, and this one paid far less. Story 44. Degrees are like hunting licenses. They do not guarantee success, but you have to have one to even try. Story 45. Anthropology here. I have been doing 14 years of intensive fieldwork at Starbucks. Story 46. It is unfortunate that any degree outside of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is often considered useless. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are important within their fields. However, currently, we see the consequences when nearly all of the world's wealth and power is held by individuals with strong technical skills but lacking critical thinking and understanding of human nature. Story 47. I have 2 degrees from ITT Technical Institute. I do not feel they are viewed favorably on my resume. I am currently between jobs and struggling significantly. Story 48. Film major here who landed a good internship which launched me into film production. Things were actually going pretty well for about 12 years, and then the entire industry collapsed over the past 3 or 4 years. No one knows if or how it will rebound. Streaming services, potential artificial intelligence, and media conglomerates obsessed with quarterly growth for shareholders seem to be the problem. It is a shame. I had found something I loved doing and was good at. Now, it seems I will likely have to start over in a new career field in my 40s. Of all careers I thought would dry up, I never suspected it would be the film industry. Never doubt the limits of corporate greed, I suppose. Story 49. I earned my Bachelor of Arts in English in 2006. I have been a software engineer for 17 years and earned $250,000 annually. I have been interested in computers since my family acquired their first one in 1994. I communicate 10 times better than others I have worked with in information technology, including chief technology officers and chief information officers. Additionally, reading extensively in Shakespeare and other canonical literature provides valuable insight into human behavior, especially in a corporate environment. Story 50. Look at my username. My undergraduate degree is in fine arts. I spent about 20 years as a server and bartender. I had enough of it and went back to school and am now an attorney. I still make art, though. I have done many shows. My legal career allows me to afford my materials, and I am no longer a starving artist. Story 51. I have a degree in social policy. Everyone told me how useless political science degrees are. I am currently employed as a policy analyst with a private firm. Story 52. You find any video online asking about the easiest major, and it's never underwater lesbian basket weaving or whatever anti-college people say to demean any non-science, technology, engineering, and mathematics major. It's communications. Turns out, several jobs that want a communications degree pay extremely well. I'm currently a proposal manager and am interviewing for jobs right now. I got laid off recently. All the jobs pay over $100,000. I was making $130,000 as a proposal manager most recently. I've seen proposal manager jobs that top out at over $200,000 at companies like Accenture, Microsoft, Deloitte, Amazon, Google, and others. That's as an individual contributor, not people management. Meaning I can work a regular basic 9 to 5 and make over $200,000 eventually. The ceiling is obviously higher if I became a team manager, director, or similar. So, I'm doing pretty well right now career-wise. The layoff is a setback, but the market rate for my job is very lucrative. I never thought I would ever even sniff these kinds of salaries, let alone in my 30s instead of near retirement. Story 53. Bachelor's in Psychology and Master's in Cinematography. Now I am just a ski bum. Story 54. I am a psychology major. I went to medical school and am now a surgeon. Whether it is extending my empathy to sick patients, de-escalating combative trauma, or using my understanding of learning behavior to educate our residents and medical students, I use my undergraduate education nearly every day. I love psychology and wish it did not have the reputation that it does. Story 55. I got a degree in political science. I work in retail and have never used my degree. This reminds me of a joke. A young woman graduates from college with an art history degree. Her parents are very proud and take her out to dinner at a nice restaurant to celebrate. The waiter notices the celebratory atmosphere and asks, "What's the occasion?" The parents respond, "Our brilliant daughter just graduated from college." The waiter says, "Oh, that's great. Congratulations. What did you get a degree in?" The girl says, "Art history." The waiter replies, "Hey, me too. I have the same degree. Anyway, can I take your order?" Story 56. Studied digital media and ended up working in transportation. It is a complete career change, but it is not too bad, I guess. Story 57. Pretty good for once. Took 23 years since college, but I finally landed a good job. My college degree was in leisure and tourism. Good hours and good pay. I have no complaints. Story 58. I am still working on making things work, but I just got accepted into my dream program abroad for my Master of Anthropology, and I think, fingers crossed, I have lined up a teaching job afterward. I will be 25 when I become a lecturer, and I am so excited to start that journey. Story 59. Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. I also convinced myself to pursue a degree in Management Information Systems. As a millennial, I genuinely feel like everything is a scam. For every quality product or service, there are many low-quality options being marketed with paywalls everywhere. Now, food is the most expensive it has ever been. Housing is the most expensive it has ever been. Medical care is not guaranteed. Childcare is not guaranteed. Guns are the single greatest threat to school-age children. The population is declining rapidly, and the environment is severely damaged or nearly beyond repair. I grew up in a conservative family who desperately tried to teach me that capitalism is the shining beacon of economic freedom and prosperity. I am not saying it is the worst system, but I am also not going to lie to myself and convince myself this is the best mankind can do. I don't even think we're close. Anyway, my college degrees are mediocre. Story 60. I don't have a college degree yet, but have just started my second year as a welder at college. I am already seeing potential for the future. Story 61. Cultural Anthropology. I was recruited by a management consulting firm right out of college and made great money but hated my life. I took time off and then went to medical school. I love my job now, but it is stressful. I would recommend cultural anthropology to anyone. It is super interesting. Story 62. Pursued a career in creatives and media, and now working as an OnlyFans creator. It's nice that I don't need to hire a video editor. Story 63. You just need to effectively communicate during one interview and then maintain your position. Story 64. I earned a degree in English literature approximately 30 years ago. I am now earning a six-figure salary as a technical editor. Story 65. I have a Master of Arts and 2 Doctor of Philosophy degrees in religious studies focusing on Near Eastern mythology and philosophy. How is it going? I now work in law enforcement and have a large amount of student debt. So not great. Story 66. Theater major here. So obviously now legal cannabis industry. Story 67. I earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in International Studies. I needed something practical to fall back on, so I minored in philosophy. I have spent 32 years in the newspaper industry, and I have almost paid off all my student loans. Story 68. Everyone said a fine arts degree would not get me a job. Now I create game art. Story 69. Degree in communication. I had no clue what I was doing, and my parents were field workers who did not know English. I thought any degree was a road to riches. As it turns out, my ability to present and make complex things understandable is a great skill to have. I worked 6 years in project management for a large healthcare group. I now manage 3 clinical departments and a health quality department. I earn over $150,000 a year. I would say I got really lucky and worked very hard. Story 70. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English. Sometimes I write really great Reddit comments. This is not one of them. Story 71. I got a B. Bachelor of Fine Arts, am a high school teacher and have been for quite a few years. I would rather be doing this than 99% of any other jobs on earth. It is pretty great most of the time. I help young people to be creative and become themselves. How awesome is that? I need to realize that I am pretty lucky actually. Story 72. Amazing. My women's studies degree is now a 6-figure job with 4 weeks of vacation and paid travel to beautiful places. Story 73. I attended a predatory school that falsely claimed its accreditations. I worked very hard to get ahead and am in a good position now. I am fortunate. Not everyone was able to succeed. Story 74. I earned an English degree from a reputable university. During college, I was recruited into a police department. It has been over 10 years, and I am doing well financially. I would say that even though I do not use my degree, everything has worked out with my career and, by extension, my life. Story 75. Applied mathematics degree. Sounds useful. Then COVID-19 happened. It has done absolutely nothing for me and has even harmed me quite a bit in trying to get a basic job because of being overqualified. Story 76. I have worked in my field of training and related fields for 3 decades since graduation. Unlike my cousins who obtained nursing and engineering degrees. Story 77. I did it on purpose. While I already had my normal work, I earned a Bachelor of Science in History for fun. It was good. Story 78. Art school major here, got a Media Arts and Animation degree. I am currently making a pretty decent salary at a large technology company. Story 79. Political Science Bachelor of Arts. I am a business analyst at a bank. Having a Bachelor of Arts was enough when I started working in the 1990s. Story 80. I have a Bachelor of Science in Communication. Parents had the mindset of just go to college, get any degree, get a good job, boom, adulthood, which made more sense 20 years ago. I graduated in 2009 during the Great Recession. Did it open doors to jobs that required or wanted a degree? Probably. I went through about 5 years of changing jobs frequently, partly due to my own naivete and partly because of working for some toxic employers. None of those jobs actually required me to use my degree, but I became good at writing process documents, procedures, and how-to guides, so I guess I technically used the degree. I moved into an accounting job in 2015. Although the last nearly 10 years have been turbulent for personal and professional reasons, I have maintained reasonably solid employment in financial and accounting roles. In October 2019, I decided to pursue a Master of Business Administration with an accounting concentration. It was a good decision, even if I was doing graduate work during a pandemic. When I was hired for my current job, I was told that the master's degree might help if I want to pursue management later. I am not sure how to feel about it. I am doing okay, and what I do now is much more related to my Master of Business Administration than my Bachelor of Science. Story 81. Cultural Anthropology Chief Operating Officer at a software development company. Story 82. English major here. I am currently working, but the degree has nothing to do with it. However, there were some fun times in the Old English department. No regrets. Story 83, Anthropology. I have been a successful medical doctor for over 20 years. I still enjoy anthropology and read about it a couple of times a year. Story 84. I am turned out okay. I make $250,000 a year, have a defined benefit pension, and a white picket fence. Story 85. I have a Bachelor of Arts in History. Things are going well. I do not use my degree directly, but I apply research methods that I learned while earning it. I work in software with a development team. I am not a software engineer, but I provide top-level technical support, reporting bugs and quality assuring the fixes in our company's platform. Story 86. Got a degree in political science, then went to law school. Somehow got a job in finance. Not too shabby. Story 87. I have 2 degrees. A Bachelor of Arts in History and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. Everyone thought I was wasting time because I changed my major from business and accounting. I ended up being one of the most successful people in my family and among friends, even more than my uncle, who considered himself successful as a small business owner and landlord. My wife put him in his place once when he kept trying to mock me at a family gathering. I am now the founder and chief executive officer of an education company and private academy for English education in South Korea. Life can be hard, but it is going well. My wife and I started from nothing, did a lot of research and development in the field, and are now quite well known in our industry for our unorthodox methodology. We have a book published that is currently on bookstore shelves. We were interviewed by a magazine, and several television networks have taken an interest. We also do a lot of charity work. It has been a good journey, rough at times, but we are doing fine. I should also mention my older brother. He earned a Bachelor of Arts in English and Journalism. He built a successful career in fashion and the movie industry, now holding a high position at Netflix. He has worked with many famous people in his time. Everyone in our family doubted him as well. Story 88. To work in the field, my Bachelor of Arts required a Master of Arts. I never used my Bachelor of Arts, but went on to get advanced degrees in another field. It did not feel like a waste at all. Story 89. It is going great because I had excellent internships, and I was working in a full-time job during my senior year while attending college at night. Work experience always surpasses education. Now I own my own company. Story 90. Old buddy of mine got a master's degree in mathematics. Last I heard, he was one of the people that travel from store to store setting up planograms. Before that, he was a high school math teacher. Story 91. Software engineer reporting in. The experience of going to college for a computer science degree was useful in helping me to grow and mature as a person, but I learned 10 times more from self-study in my spare time. I dropped out after a few years, but it has never affected my ability to get a job. Every employer I have had cared more about my skill than whether I obtained a degree, although I am sure that many others do. Story 92. Degree in comparative literature. Now I work as a septic inspector for the state. It pays much better than any of the editing jobs that required a college degree I had when I first graduated. Story 93. I earned a degree in music with a concentration in recording and production. I turned that into a career in sound editing for films. It is going well. Story 94. PhD in English. I cannot handle the tenure-track life due to mental health reasons, and I want to maintain my integrity. I am currently an adjunct and eventually want to find a job where I can use my rhetorical skills. Story 95. I earned a degree in mathematics. It helped me get into graduate school in a completely unrelated field, which is nice. Story 96. I got a degree in philosophy. I dislike academia, teaching pays poorly, and I don't think there's anything else I can use it for. A few years ago, I got into coding via Arduino, and now that's what I do for a living and I do well. For a few years, I worked difficult jobs, struggled to make ends meet, and was nearly evicted once. Had I studied something like software engineering, getting to where I am would have been easier. However, I don't regret it. Going to school for something somewhat useless in this job market made me who I am. I am even slowly working towards a degree in creative writing. Story 97. 28 years into my career with an Associate of Science degree in Electronic Engineering from ITT. I have been earning over six figures for the last 10 years. Story 98. Political Science with a master's degree in a related field. I work in education now. The pay is low, but the students are great, and I find the job very fulfilling. Story 99. A political science degree without going to law school is going to be fantastic. Story 100. Bachelor of Fine Arts and Master of Fine Arts checking in. It worked out wonderfully. I get paid very well, and I have traveled the world doing what I love and have met incredible people along the way. I am sitting in front of one of my 3 fireplaces right now, scrolling Reddit in between chapters of a good book with a record playing at low volume in the background. Solid. Story 101. I earned a degree in political science and became a public librarian. I do not make a lot of money, but I enjoy my work and helping seniors in my community. The free vegetables people bring me this time of year are also very nice. Story 102. I earned a Bachelor of Science in Parks and Recreation Management. I ended up managing a radioactive measurements laboratory, which led me to work on Superfund cleanup projects. Eventually, I monitored radioactive air quality around my city. It was a good job, and I am now comfortably retired. Story 103. I went into business marketing, but after multiple companies rejected me because I had no computer-aided design or graphic design experience, I took a customer service job at a global manufacturing company. This job got my foot in the door, and I worked my way up the corporate ladder to become a senior analyst. Although I am not doing what I initially aimed for, the degree helped me enter a company that otherwise would not have hired me, and I was able to get promoted. Sometimes companies do not care about the degree title, they just care if you have the degree. Story 104. I majored in sociology and minored in Caribbean history. I have a master's degree in public policy. I am in technology sales. Degrees were not valuable. Story 105. I have an associate degree in business administration. I now make 6 figures as an aircraft mechanic, which is completely unrelated to my degree. Story 106. I got a degree in economics. I have never worked in economics or finance, but having a degree got me the job I have now programming industrial robots. My degree, which seemed useless to me, has already paid for itself. No regrets. Story 107. My wife earned a degree in outdoor recreation and now earns a 6-figure salary in operations. I have no idea how we got here, but it was unexpected. Story 108. I have a bachelor's degree with honors in software engineering but have not used it since graduating years ago. I am managing, but I definitely do not live in luxury. I should have been a lawyer. Story 109. I dual majored in chemistry and physics. It is not useful for me as I work in information technology now. Story 110. Sociology and anthropology major. I have been in sales since the late 1990s and run an equipment dealership. I always thought my social sciences education helped my career. Story 111. My Bachelor of Arts in Geography saved me a lot of money in nursing school because I did not have to take any electives. So, okay, I guess. Story 112. Majored in philosophy and gravitated toward teaching English. Started my own virtual English academy, then helped my friend administer his English teaching business. Later, I went into higher education in student affairs. I still thank philosophy for allowing me to communicate effectively, both in writing and verbally, which is strikingly lacking in student affairs leadership positions. Story 113. I have a history degree. I am an engineer. I do not know, good I guess. Story 114. Got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Sculpture and a Master of Arts in Jewelry Design. 8 years later, own 2 successful jewelry brands. Story 115. I work in software support and have been doing technical work since about 2012. For most of my career, I kept my master's degree in philosophy to myself. Only the events of 2016 and especially 2020 made me feel that my subject matter was important to discuss. I seriously wish I had accepted earlier that there is no such thing as a dream job. The best you can hope for is that the job is not unethical, that you sometimes enjoy it, and that it provides a good income. I could have gone into medicine or started software development much sooner. But yes, hindsight is hindsight. Story 116, political science degree. Entered human resources, then transitioned into safety. Later, started working for the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Currently doing well in the occupational safety and health field. Story 117. I double majored in anthropology and communication studies. Now I know that all people are unique, and I understand how to communicate with them. Story 118. I always got blank stares when I told people I was studying environmental science. They asked, "What can you do with that?" I have a comfortable government job and a rewarding career. It does not pay the best, but I should be making about $120,000 by the time I retire. Story 119. I went back to school at 27. I graduated at 32 with 2 bachelor's degrees. Bachelor of Science in Psychology and Bachelor of Arts in Religious Studies, concentrated in Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism. One degree was for work, the other for personal enrichment. 3 years after graduation, I work with a state agency specializing in not guilty by reason of insanity mental health case management, collaborating with public agencies and the courts. Additionally, mainly for enjoyment but also for extra income, I work 2 days a month at a crisis center as a counselor and meditation teacher, a job I greatly enjoyed before promotion. My current salary, including as needed work, is approximately $90,000. The saying, psychology is useless, has very much not been true in my case. Story 120. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration from a for-profit college. I am embarrassed about it and never mention that I have a degree because I feel the degree is not worth the paper it is printed on. I am currently a process operator in an oil refinery. Story 121. When I was 18 and thinking about college, my parents told me not to worry about choosing a career path degree. They emphasized the overall process of education, which involves more than just job training, and stressed that a degree of any kind will teach you valuable skills that can be applied to any career, such as time management, collaborative working, and how to locate the right information. Above all, it will teach you how to think, reason, and evaluate. So I studied English, language, and literature simply because I enjoyed it. Then I left college and started working in information technology, first in a desktop support role, then as a systems administrator, then as a higher-level engineer, and finally as a systems architect. It all worked out pretty well. Plus, I can write documentation and reports much better than my peers. Story 122. My parents said a degree in Japanese would be worthless. I moved to Japan and married a man who does not speak a word of English. We have been together for 21 years and married for 19. I have been a naturalized citizen for 14 years. I have a great job at a Japanese company and love my community here. I am not specifically working as a translator or Japanese teacher, but I would not have anything good in my life without that education. Story 123. Pretty great, actually. I got a philosophy degree, and while I am not a professional philosopher, it has come in handy now and then in my current job as a writer. It taught me how to learn, which is useful when doing research. Story 124. I have a degree in political science from a top 30 college. I spent 2 years working as support staff in a large law firm doing legal assistant work while deciding if I wanted to go to law school. I went back and earned a master's degree in education, having never taken a single education class in undergraduate studies. I became a special education teacher at a New York City public school. I am now an assistant principal managing a department of 25 history teachers, including special education and general education, in a high-need New York City public high school. I love my job, and my prestigious college helped me build the critical thinking, reading, and writing skills I use every day and will continue to use as I move ahead in my career. I am 35 years old. I work for the largest school district in America, get paid well for an educator, and the room for growth is unlimited. People often point out that I became a teacher after attending a really expensive, competitive school, and that I could have gone to a less expensive college. I have zero regrets about studying political science in college or in choosing to attend the college I did. The education I received there has set me up for life. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.